Good evening and welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host Sam Oni, and with me, as always, Wes Spearman. Wes, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, Sam. A little bit sniffy. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, but we'll soldier on from that. Yeah, first race, sorry, last weekend in Bahrain. Not the best to start the season off, I'll be honest, but yeah, F1's back. We're back going again. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Like you said, first race of the season underway. Um, and if I was to describe it in a nutshell, I would just say Max Verstappen Grand Slam. I mean, he took pole in qualifying, started started first on the grid, fastest lap, race win. Uh, and did you know that it was his fifth Grand Slam of his career, tying with who's he tied with?
Oh, I remember hearing it on the Sky highlights. I can't. Funny, I was just looking up Verstappen to see how many Grand Slams he had since you mentioned it, and yeah, I remember being five now. Yeah, I can't remember. Well, I can't remember who the other
Um,
driver was.
Michael Schumacher for one. He has five Grand Slams to his name, and the second one is I don't know his first name, but Ascari.
Alberto Ascari. Yeah, I've just got them up here.
So the only driver or drivers ahead of Verstappen, I believe, are Hamilton and Hamilton's on six,
Yeah,
off the
Hamilton's
top of
got
my head.
six. And another British driver.
Anyone else?
I've got the list up here. Yeah, there's Jim Clark with eight, all in the 60s.
Wow, eight.
Quite, yeah,
Huh?
arguably the best F1 driver of all time. He didn't race. He unfortunately died in a crash at Hockenheim, I think, when he was fairly young. So unfortunately didn't
Mm.
get to see his sort of full potential, if you like. But yeah, stats wise, he is right up there with, and even ahead of Hamilton in terms of like percentage races won and what have you. So yeah, but to get eight in a fairly short racing career when Hamilton's got six and he's got over 100 race wins for a start. So some effort by Jim Clark in the 60s when they had fewer races a season as well.
Yeah. So Bahrain, like I said, Max pretty much from start to finish. But I think the main, other than Max, I think another driver who we would focus on was Charles Leclerc, and you could also say Ferrari as a whole as well. Um, what do you make of Charles Leclerc's performance in the
Yeah,
Bahrain
yeah,
race?
he had a poor weekend, didn't he? I mean, he did all right in qualifying, qualified P2, which
Yeah,
when Verstappen's one of the best drivers in the quickest car, then obviously second is the next best place. Yeah, he really struggled with the car in Bahrain, didn't he? He had so many lockups here, there, pretty much everywhere on the track, especially into turn eight. That sort of slight downhill section, off camber, sharp left-hander before you go onto the back straight. I think Russell locked up there a couple of times as well. So it's not the easiest braking point on the circuit, but these guys are professional drivers. But yeah, for what I don't know if like Leclerc had a brake issue, like if there was an actual issue with the car, or if it was just him not getting accustomed to the brakes. But it just didn't seem to be at its best in Bahrain. Yeah, it's the first race, dust off the cobwebs and stuff, but they've had 3 hours of practice beforehand, plus qualifying, plus pre-season testing on the same track. You'd think that he would be used to how his car feels on, especially on the Bahrain circuit. So it could well have been an issue with the car. Yeah, we're not 100% sure, but yeah, not the best or not the weekend that Leclerc was hoping for. That's for sure.
yeah, I agree with what you said because, you know, coming into this weekend, season opener, I think if anyone was going to challenge Verstappen realistically for the driver's title, it would be Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, would it not? I mean, you could say, I mean, maybe Perez, but again, you asked the question: are Red Bull really going to put their number one driver, who has brought them what at least three constructors championships, with their number two driver, who again isn't as consistent, if you like? So that just begs the question. Um, so yeah, but for Ferrari, it wasn't all bad. You could say because Carlos Sainz finished third in the race, which was very impressive. And if you're Carlos Sainz this season, you're out of contract at the end of the year. I think if you were if you're his, manager, engineer, you'd probably say, it's time to just focus on Carlos. If you have to be selfish, be selfish. If it gets you the win, it gets you the win because you're not gonna have anywhere to drive. Looks like it next year. So, you know,
Yeah, exactly that, isn't it? I mean, he's just got to focus on driving his own race now, really. I mean, yeah, he's obviously still a part of the team. He's still part of Ferrari, and if at some point Leclerc is battling for the championship, then I'm sure team orders will come into play, and he'll oblige to that because he's a good team player. But yeah, it's come down to that point where it's like he's got nothing to lose really this season, Carlos Sainz. I mean, everyone knows he's a fantastic driver. He's already got 3, 4 race wins under his belt, um, and he thoroughly deserves a seat for next year. It's just a case of where is that going to be? I mean, the only real spot is at Mercedes, and it would be an interesting move if he does. Not really jump ship because they sort of cast him off already. But if he does make the move to Mercedes, or if he's going to take like a year out like Ricardo did and then come back when there's another space somewhere else, who knows? Um, yeah, as you say, it is just Carlos can drive his own race now, really. And yeah, he drove fantastically well in Bahrain. I mean, the stats will show that he only sort of climbed one place in the end, but he had to battle for it in a way. He was battling with Russell for quite a lot of the Grand Prix, and yeah, he came out on top. So yeah, fantastic drive from Carlos this weekend in Bahrain. Yeah, is already showing people that he definitely deserves that seat for next year.
you're correct right there. Um, there wasn't really much in the race, as you said. It wasn't, that great. But hey, at least all 20 drivers, all 20 cars, finished the race. No retirements.
Yeah. It wasn't
I
looking
mean,
like that at one point because I think Sargent pulled off at the track
yeah,
at one stage, and then we thought, oh, is it an engine issue? Is it sort of mechanical? But I think Williams said it was an issue with the steering wheel, which is a bit of an odd one. I've not heard that one before.
yeah.
Yeah, he got his car going again, and yeah, there's a bit of a crash on the first lap as well between Hulkenberg and Stroll.
Hmm.
Nothing too serious, sort of typical lap one incident, isn't it? Turn one, where the gap just closed for Hulkenberg. Um, he tried to go for a gap that was always going to close on him, and yeah, ended up giving Stroll a bit of a love tap at the back. Um, yeah, both drivers went back to the back, but fair play to Stroll. I mean, he was down in, I think he went down to 19th, 20th. Um, I know Hulkenberg had to pit. I don't know if Stroll had to pit at the end of the first lap, but yeah, made it back up to 10th place. Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, so fair play to him. A pretty good drive from him after being taken out essentially on turn one of the first lap. So yeah, fair play to Stroll, but yeah, as you say, not really much to mention. I mean, Verstappen won by 22 seconds. Great. That's not. Well, no, he didn't have to work for it really, did Verstappen? Grand Slam again, as you said, pole fastest lap race win. Just didn't really have to work for any of it, Verstappen. And again, fair play to Red Bull and Adrian Newey for designing a fantastic car.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to drive that Red Bull car at at this point? Um, so how would you rate the race out of 10, Bahrain? Bearing in mind that it's Bahrain doesn't really give, the wow factor at times. maybe with exception of last year when, or was it the year before when we had Verstappen and Leclerc switching places like 3 times in the space of a lap or something.
Yeah, it's not going to score. I'm going to give it a 3. It really wasn't that entertaining. There were some good battles with Sainz and Russell. I think Perez got in on the act as well with Leclerc a couple of times. Um, Stroll's drive, recovery drive, brilliant, but yeah, no real standouts, if you like. It's like you could have predicted that result. I know we didn't. We predicted a Leclerc win, but
Yeah.
yeah, most sensible people would have predicted an easy Verstappen win and a Red Bull 1-2, Ferrari on the podium. The McLarens didn't really go anywhere. The Alpines at the back moved up a couple of places because of issues with other cars. There wasn't really anything to it, any sort of meat to it, if you like. So yeah, 3 out of 10 for me.
I think for me, yeah, Bahrain, there wasn't really much, you know, nothing to really get me off my seat, if you like. I'd say 4 out of 10. It wasn't really that great, but hopefully we've got 23 rounds of racing left, and well, the next race is not too far. It's in Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia street circuit, 27 corners. Um, not really much space for overtaking. I think up until the last turn of that circuit. Um, what do you remember fondly about Saudi Arabia, the race?
Um, Not a lot from last year. I remember the time where was it Verstappen drove into Hamilton one year? That might have been 2021.
Yeah.
I remember. I think again same year. I think it was Bottas versus Ocon, sort of a drag race to the line.
Oh, that was
Where
I
Bottas
remember
pipped
that.
Ocon.
That
Again, I
was
think that was
brilliant.
2021. I think a similar thing happened to Ocon as well. The year after, I can't remember who it was up against, but um,
Didn't Yeah, staying with that. Didn't Ocon wasn't there a couple like race restarts?
yes, yeah, I can't remember if that was 22 or 23. But yeah, there was Ocon. So I think the second race restart, he went to pole, didn't he? Because
Yeah,
I think it was Perez and Hamilton. I think were involved, and one of them illegally overtook the other, like went off track, so it was then
yeah,
penalised, and
yeah.
obviously the time got down a place. But yeah, I can't remember which year that was though. Yeah, but yeah, Saudi has thrown up its moments, as you would say.
hmm
Um, yeah, I can't really remember like race winner or like top or podiums. Like there've been standout moments, but I don't think the races themselves have been that sort of memorable. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think the only takeaway that was really good was probably the drag race between Ocon and Bottas. Like for fourth place, even I mean fourth place, it's not a podium, but it's something.
It's still good points, isn't it?
Um, that was really something. And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure which year it was, but Verstappen's qualifying lap. I think I watched it on Twitter. Maybe I saw the clip, and his qualifying lap in Saudi Arabia for pole was so good. Like everything was perfect, like flawless. Probably one of the best. You could probably say it was up against Hamilton's one in 2018 Singapore.
Singapore, yeah.
Um, However, it was so good up until he hit the wall. He just hit the wall, and then that was it. Right? Wow. To to have a flawless qualifying lap like that, just to hit the wall at the end, it was a moment. It was something.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it would have been a near perfect lap from Verstappen if he was able to pull it off. But yeah, as you say, crashed into the wall. I think I can't remember which year this was, but yeah, that might have been 2021. That might have been the race that Hamilton and Verstappen collided. One of them tried to let the other go past, but yeah, as you say, would have been up there with one of the all-time great pole laps. It was just purple sector, almost purple sector into the wall. I think it was the penultimate corner, wasn't it? It was just before the last corner that you hit the wall, and yeah, you can see the faces of the Red Bull mechanics going, "Oh no, it would have obviously put him on pole." But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Verstappen that day.
So, just another thing before we finish off. Actually, before that, so what are your predictions for Saudi Arabia? The race is on Saturday, the same as Bahrain, and qualifying being tomorrow. What are your predictions for qualifying? Your standout drivers?
Um, I mean, I'd like for like a Leclerc, Perez to get pole, race win, what have you, but I don't think it's going to happen after seeing Bahrain. So I'm going to go Verstappen pole, Verstappen win. Um, Alonso's interesting. He was second in FP1 and now topped FP2. I point to the second as well, a decent margin for Fernando. Russell's been up there as well. In terms of timings, Perez, uh, Leclerc with a fifth and a fourth in FP1 and FP2. Um, yeah, I reckon driver to look out. I'm going to go Russell driver to look out for. I mean, the practice times have been decent. Um, under 0.3 of a second off of Verstappen in FP1 and second place in FP2. So yeah, I'm going to go not Verstappen, Russell. Sorry, for a driver to look out for. Maybe even driver of the day. Who knows in Saudi this
Yeah.
weekend?
I think Saudi Arabia. I think it might not pull a few shocks, but maybe I think Russell, Alonso have a chance of getting a podium. If I was to give my top 5 qualifiers, so pole position, I'd say pole position, Max Verstappen, second place, Alonso.
In qualifying,
Sorry?
Alonso to qualify second.
Well,
Yeah, is that what you say? That's a bold
well,
call. I mean, I'm here for it if it happens. I'd love that for that to happen.
well, you know what? What? No, 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 no. Let me be confident in doing it because I'm actually questioning myself now. But yeah, okay. Well, Verstappen to qualify, pole position. Um, Alonso second place, and then row two, third. Russell and Perez fourth. Yeah, and then fifth. I'll just say I don't know. Carlos Sainz. Yeah. All right then. Um, so that's qualifying. What about the race? Who are your top 5 finishers?
Um, Verstappen, obviously, race win, as I mentioned.
Oh, we're not making that
Um,
mistake again. Yes,
I'm not
that's
that, yeah. I'm not. I'm just going to predict Verstappen race win for every race this season. Just watch, unless there's a wet race somewhere. I might mix it up then. Yeah,
yeah.
Verstappen race win. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Russell P2, Perez P3,
Oh,
P4 Sainz, and P5 Alonso. Leclerc's not getting into my top 5 this weekend. Sorry, Charles.
wow, damn. Okay.
Charles just fallen
Right.
off a cliff. Predicted P1 in Bahrain, not even predicted P5 in Saudi.
Um. Right. Top 5 finishers. P5. Carlos Sainz. P4. Um. I think. P4. I think but he's so good on Saudi Arabia though,
He
or
does like a
street
street
circuits
track, does
in
Perez? Yeah.
in general. Yeah. Mm, am I going to regret saying Perez P4? Right, hear me out. Perez for P4, and then you have a podium of Max Verstappen winning the race, Russell in third, and then check this out: Fernando Alonso, second
Lando.
place for Aston Martin. I mean, what about that?
I'm here for that.
I mean, why not? Remember last year, I think he got a podium in every race in the first
Certainly the
five
first five, yeah.
races. So, I mean, yeah, why not? Why not? Alonso. I mean, I'm here for it. Drive him today.
Let's see what happens. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'd
All right
love
then.
for it to happen, but I'm not
All
sure.
right then. Um, one thing I saw on social media was that if if anything, if there's anything to F1, drivers can go and drive for any team, and you wouldn't believe it. So I saw on Twitter that in some crazy universe, as you know, Lewis Hamilton will be driving for 2025, and on Twitter there was a graphic where Hamilton is in his red Ferrari threads. Carlos Sainz has suddenly made a move to McLaren, and then you've got Alex Albon in a Mercedes suit, and check this out: Lando Norris in a Red Bull. So my question is, right, 5 laps on a F1 circuit of your choice, who finishes where?
I'm going Norris for the race win, just because. I mean, he's a good. I wouldn't say he's on the same level as Hamilton in terms of like driver skill, but if it's like this year's cars, then Norris is winning in that Red Bull. That's for certain for me. Then I'd probably go Hamilton, Ferrari second, Sainz's McLaren in third, and then Albon's Mercedes in fourth. No disrespect to Albon, but I don't think he's quite on the same level as the other three.
Hmm. I think, yeah. I mean, unless Hamilton has reliability issues during that race, I would put him. I would put him in first place, but I think I have to agree with you on that. Norris in a Red Bull. I mean, it's
That's
more
just
like the
that's
car
that's one of the
doesn't work.
weirdest. It doesn't look right at all on the graphic scene. Lando in a Red Bull, Red Bull overalls.
It doesn't, does it? But that's F1. You get the most random stuff. I mean, who would have predicted? You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, Norris in first place, Hamilton finishing second, Albon fourth in the Mercedes with Sainz in the McLaren third place. But yeah, um, well, we've come to the end of another episode on the F1 Stop show, and well, Verstappen opens the season with yet another win. How many wins is he gonna get this season? He got 19, no, 19 last year.
I think it was 19. Yeah.
19. He got 19 last year, and who knows? Maybe he could get more this year. I've been your host, Sam Oni, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode. There's a goodbye from me, bye bye, and there's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we hope you enjoyed the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix this weekend.